What if you find the home of your dreams and you go to move in and you find out there was a flood claim? And what does a flood claim mean? It means there was a water leak and it destroyed part of the house, and the previous owners had a claim on it. Well, what does that do to you as the new homeowner? Can you get insurance, or is it outrageous? Do you have to do things like change the plumbing in the house before you can get new insurance? Well, our guest today, during a special interview, shares some of that. And the reason we're bringing that up today is because Christy Glenn is part of our BNI group with Mike at Anthem Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. And this is such an important topic. We wanted to spend a little time on it. So let's get into today's interview. Well, in the state of California, it seems like when it comes to insurance, the insurance companies have suffered some, I'm going to call them catastrophic losses, and they've had to do some things to protect themselves and change whatnot. But I want to talk today a little bit about water. And when it comes to water damage, like a leak in a home, a toilet overflows, a bursted pipe, whatever it is, and tell us a little bit about how that is currently handled now versus just not too many years ago.
Right. So if you currently have insurance on your property, most likely you have a policy that is still covering water damage up to the limits on your property policy. However, new buyers or people who have been canceled by their current insurance company because either one, they've moved or they've pulled out of the state of California, or two, because they may have had a claim water damage and now that company is being non-renewing that person. So the policies that we're placing on these type of properties are excluding water damage. And that's huge because as you know, in the Coachella Valley, we don't have a problem per se with wildfires, right? That is the main cause of why most insurance companies have pulled out of the state of California or have stopped writing, is because of the wildfire areas and not being able to obtain the rates that they need in order to sustain doing business in California. Here in the Coachella Valley, we don't have that. We have water damage claims. Very, very prevalent. That's our number one claim, is water damage. So we highly advise our clients to take steps to mitigate or prevent water losses, because if you put in a claim, there is a high probability of being non-renewed or canceled.
What is it? When you talk about this whole idea of, there's this blanketing, if you will, of, hey, just because we have wildfires in parts of parts of California, not in the desert, thank goodness, knock on wood, we are subject to that. And do you see that changing at all, where it says, hey, if you live in a specific area and you're not in that, then there's a different type of insurance, or it doesn't fall under that type of, guideline?
Right. So right now, what insurance companies have proposed to the California Department of Insurance is, instead of basing their rates on zip code. So if you take, let's just take Palm Desert zip code, for instance, 92260, which covers South Palm Desert. Well, in South Palm Desert, we're not a huge city by any means. However, our city has many different areas. We have homes in the middle of the city. We have homes like in Bighorn Country Club that are built into the mountain, that are right up against that mountain. So what insurance companies are trying to do is change how they rate and charge premiums based on zoning. So wildfire zoning. So maybe the homes up in Big Bear will have, a 50% surcharge versus the same similar type of home, maybe in Indian Ridge or Indian Wells Country Club. So you still have those high-end areas, but they're trying to get rate for those homes that are in those wildfire areas so they can write the business.
Well, now when we talk about water damage and claims of nature, we're not talking about, again, we live in the desert, so we don't really have hurricanes and we don't have massive floods very often. And so we're not talking about that kind of a claim, are we, Christy?
No. So when it comes to earthquake or flooding, those are actually excluded on every single property policy. 99% of the time, you actually have to purchase a separate policy in order to cover those perils. And a peril is earthquake, flood, fire, wind, hail, tornadoes. If you live in, in an area where there's tornadoes or hurricanes, there's separate insurance for those types of perils. So water damage is a peril that's covered under what we call fire insurance. So fire insurance is a homeowner's policy. So the fire insurance includes perils of wind, fire, and hail, but they also include theft, burglary. They can include water damage. They can include some other coverages depending on the policy, but those are the main perils that are covered under a fire policy. Now, nowadays, we're writing policies through non-admitted carriers, and they are excluding water damage if plumbing is over 20 years of age. Well, I would say 75% of the homes in the Coachella Valley, even though they are not that old as compared to if you go into Riverside or some of the older areas where they do have a ton of older homes, but we still have them here. And the majority of them are older than 20 years of age. So they're limiting water damage down to a point where there's not going to be any coverage. I mean, $10,000 isn't going to cover anything.
Wow. When you talk about these carriers that are excluding water damage, how does that impact it when somebody calls you and says, "Hey, Christy, we've just bought a new home, or we bought an existing home, and we need to have insurance," and that is a type of restriction or reduction, if you will, in coverage. Does that impact what that does for their home loan?
No, because right now mortgage companies, as they have done historically, are only looking for fire, wind, and hail here in the desert. So if you were in Florida, they're going to be looking for different types of coverages. But here in the Coachella Valley in California, they only are concerned with fire and wind and hail right now. I would guess that they are going to start requiring some type of proof of water damage coverage, because right now it's so prevalent right now for insurance companies to exclude that coverage.
You mentioned about the homeowner mitigating or the insurance company mitigating the losses. What responsibility does that put on us as homeowners to help offset this particular water damage claim?
Right. Well, thank you for asking, because that is super important. And any homeowner that we talk to nowadays, we let them know, obviously they either know that they have the coverage for water damage or they don't. But if you have coverage, you want to make sure that, that you are going to you have a prevention program in place to prevent those claims, so you do not get canceled. It's just like going to the doctor and getting your wellness checkup. Well, you need to do that with your house too. Once a year, have your plumbing checked, have your roof checked, and other systems in your house. But what we are recommending in order to mitigate losses with water damage is installing a automatic water shut-off system, which most plumbers nowadays offer. And it really can be a lifesaver. Your insurance claims, having to deal with a claim, it will automatically shut off your water. If it detects a leak, you get notified via your cell phone or whatever form of communication you have set up with that company.
Christy, I know that because we have so many transients, if you will, when I say transient snowbirds that leave, when it's hot outside like it is today, I have some friends that just turn their water off to their house.
Right.
Is that mitigating the risk?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh no, it absolutely is. But I don't know about you, Jeff, but I have a second home and I'm pretty good about turning off my water. But I can tell you there was probably 1 or 2 times this past year that I've come back to that home and I realized, oh no, I forgot to turn my water off. Thankfully, nothing had happened, but it can. It's just one more thing for a homeowner to remember to have to do before they're entering or leaving a home. When you have this water shutoff system installed, it just does it for you, right? It's automatic. You don't have to worry about it. But yes, you could take that extra step, even with the water shutoff system installed, by turning off your water as well, if you plan to be gone for an extended period of time.
Well, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to get into the mind of the homeowner, and I want you to give us the best possible advice that you could give us for for not getting our insurance canceled and to make sure we're covered and protected against water loss?
So, well, the best way to protect you against water losses, again, is to install that water shutoff system. Highly, highly recommend it. And then if you want to take an extra step, turning off your water, that it won't hurt anything, right? If you are an existing homeowner and you have insurance and your insurance company is still doing business in the state of California, we're recommending that you get these water shutoff systems. Make sure that you're doing everything you can to prevent any type of loss. And that's not just water losses, but we have electrical losses with people who have older electrical systems. Have you had your electrical system checked? As well as your roof. Roof is a huge one. So doing that yearly maintenance, or at least checkup with a licensed contractor, is very, very helpful, because in the event that there is a loss, you will have this backup paperwork saying, well, look, I've I've done my yearly checkups. I've repaired any damage that was, I was unaware of. It's been all repaired, and it will just help the claims process go a little smoother.
Well, Christy, I really appreciate you taking the time today. I know you're very, very busy. Before I let you go, do me a favor. Tell us how people, if they have, I guess I should ask, are you still writing insurance?
Yeah. So we still are writing insurance. The majority of our insurances, unfortunately, being placed in with non-admitted carriers like a Lloyd's of London. We do still have admitted companies like Mercury and Safeco that are writing, but very minimally. They have very strict guidelines or underwriting factors that you would have to qualify for in order to go through that market. But if you don't qualify, we have other markets that we can place you through.
Well, do us a favor. Tell us before you go, hey, how can we get a hold of you if somebody wanted to go online and look at your website or give you a call? What's the best way?
So the best way is any form of communication that you would feel comfortable with. You can go onto my website, which is www.palmdesertinsurance.net. We do have a contact form on our website. You can fill that out, and one of our agents will give you a call. You can feel free to call me anytime, Monday through Friday. My office hours are 8 to 5. My phone number is 760-341-2345, or you can even email me. And my email is very simple. It's my first name, Christy, Christy, at palmdesertinsurance.net.
Christy, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And for those homeowners out there who may be thinking, gosh, I don't know for sure if my homeowner's insurance covers this, I'll bet you if you call Christy, she will help walk you through that and guide you into saying, hey, you need to do something, or maybe it's time to change your insurance. Christy is your person, because you don't deal with just one level of insurance. You're a broker, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
So, hey, why would I go through the trouble of calling 20 different insurance agents when I can call one who's been in the business for over 2 decades, almost 3 decades, and has way more experience? I'm just going to make one call, and Christy is my call. Thanks, Christy, so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.